So let's take a look at how to build the activity diagrams for the Wally trash robot just in the operated stage of his life cycle. So we have the other life parts of it there, but we're just going to focus on just the operate state here. So we've got a behavior package listed over here. We're going to put a activity diagram, activity SysML diagram, and label it properly. There you go. That's more like it. Next thing to do is to set up our screen. Just as a matter of admin, I like to type in what the purpose is of this diagram. So you don't have to read SysML to be able to understand what the purpose is supposed to be of the diagram. And for today, I'm going to put our little combat SysML method over here in the corner to refer to. Parts of it we're not going to do today, but just sort of as a reminder about some ways to help out in doing activity diagrams with just the essentials. There's the steps, we'll go through them. So first we'll brainstorm some of the activities just as we did in class. The idea here is to come up with all these sort of activities without worrying about what the sequence is. And what's helpful here, I think, is to think about the general phases maybe that the operate part goes in. So one part of it is he has to prepare at his base, and then he's got to transit to get to the place where the garbage is. After he gets there, he's got to pick it up, and then he's got to go to the dump. Then he's got to also monitor his health and also operate in emergencies. Those are the big picture items. Now we're going to add in the initial and final nodes sort of into our place. And because we have some parallel flow, we're going to use a fork object so that later on we can connect the control flow to more than one thing at a time. It basically spreads out our control flow. All right, so then we got that going. Let's hook up our initial node there. I'll just clean that up a little bit. And then what we'll do is we'll be looking to drag the activities we built. And as you see, Magic Draw will make them actions already. They're activities over here, but as soon as we drag them onto this activity diagram, they'll turn into actions with a little colon in front of each of their names. So that's going to be helpful for us in just a sec. As you'll see, we're preparing at the base site, then he's transiting, it's maybe the next step. Then he gets to his job site, that's maybe the third step. Then we're going to reuse the transit activity, and we're going to build another action to make us another transit. This is the same activity, but at a different time. So two separate actions built on the same thing. So it really makes it the reuse part of this nice. And while this is happening, we're going to monitor Wally's health. Now we're going to add some inputs and output pins. Looks like we only need input pins for a couple things over here on the right-hand side today. I'm going to type them by just basically removing the name. It's not important for this. And I've previously built up a signal called recharge needed. So I typed this port with that name that I previously built. Just say show type, just so you can see the type of that port is actually built in the model. So if he needs a recharge, we're going to have a signal coming out there. Also, I can think of another output if we had some problems with maintenance. So let's take a look at that here. We'll take a look at the typing there. In this case, we've also built one ahead of time called maintenance needed. So we'll just go so we can see the show the type there. So we can just show that. And I'll just turn off the name just to make it a little cleaner. So we have our two output objects there from the health monitor. Just going to give us a little more space over here. Now what we're going to do is, actually after we clean up a little more, is to bring another transit in. That's going to be a little bit different. We're going to build another transit activity that's a special one that says transit to recharge. And you may want to go slower at the most energy efficient way. So maybe it's a slightly different version of the normal transit. This also we're going to put an input pin for so that it specifically needs as an input that recharge needed signal, the same one we built before. We're going to type that port to accept that signal. Again, I'm going to just switch it around so that I only show the I'll only show the type, and I'll just delete the actual name of that port per se. It's not necessary for our modeling today. Okay, we're going to need some maintenance needed thing, and actually what we're going to do is we're going to jump to a completely different group of activities. We're in the number 4 class of activities, and we're going to build another one over here called the number 5 activities. This isn't the operate stage. This is now the support Wally stage, the one that was the one just below there on our very first diagram. And so what we're going to do is when we say maintenance is needed, we're going to actually jump to that whole different stage of activities, and we'll have other things we'll model later that will help us tell us that when we have maintenance is needed, what are the procedures to be able to do that. So I'm just typing the pins here, and again changing it around so I just see the type of pins and not see the actual name of them. And I think we have just one last thing to do after I do a little cleanup there, is to add the next piece of our model. So we want to be able to operate in an emergency is the other piece of functionality that we don't have from our beginnings. And once again, that's going to be something that we want to have a special trigger to do. And I'm going to type this one again with another previous one that I've, if I can spell it right, Rocket Approach is the name of this signal, to type that particular pin. And I'm just going to delete the name out of this and close it off, and it'll just make the name of the type of pin. So now we're going to use a different kind of action to trigger this one. We'll go and find an accept event action. And the idea for this is that it's continuously listening for a particular signal that we're going to build later as we go build out the support group. And the support activities will send a signal, an alert, to Wally, who's listening for it all the time. And when that happens, then we're going to get an exception here in this activity and jump out of it and go into the operating emergency activities. So once again, we're going to type this pin as the Rocket Approach, and we're all set there. Our pins all match each other in terms of types, so Match Draw will help us make sure we line up the right pins there. So we don't have any swim lanes, which is the third step on this. But what we're going to do instead is we're going to make an interruptible activity region. Basically says keep doing whatever you're doing on this particular chart unless you have an exception that tells you to interrupt those activities and jump to another piece of functionality. So this is the region that all those activities inside, I've just colored it here, show you that it's uninterruptible. Now we're going to connect the pins the normal way, and then I'm going to delete them, and we'll use the exception handlers at the end of the video here just to show you. So here's the normal way. There's nothing particularly wrong with this, but we do want to, I think I really want to use the exceptional handlers to reinforce the fact that we want to break out of this region when those are triggered. All right, so now we're going to hook up the rest of our blocks, and this is our parallel flow. We're going to start the base, prepare a base case site, and also monitor health at the same time. We'll speed up the tape a little bit just so this doesn't take quite so long, but it's all the same process. We need another transit action, so we grabbed another one from our library. Once again, we've reused that particular activity, the transit activity, 3 times to make 3 separate transit actions. So that's a good use of that particular technique, I think. Okay, so now we're going to add some control loops, because right now Wally does this once and then he's done, and we want him to do it more than once during the day that he's out on this mission. So we're going to insert a decision node here, which helps us loop. And Match Draw will just let us hook it right in there in between. So you want to put it there? Sure. Okay, fine. And our decision loop's there. Just as the same as double clicking it, I have the properties up here so I can actually name this decision loop right in this little window here. It saves me popping up a window. But it's exactly the same as you double click on it and open it up. And it shows up as what the decision is. And so now we're going to put a merge node in. And this is basically where more than one control flow can be without screwing up the logic of the control flows. Okay, so we've added another link there. Now we're going to put 2 guards on this, one to tell us which way it is. So the guard shows up on our little window, but you could double click on the line and get the same effect. So there's our no guard our no direction. If his bin's not full, he goes no and keeps working at the job site. When his bin is full, then he goes over to this other transit state and heads down towards city dump. So in this case, we've added our decision node after operate to see if he's done for the day, and if he is, then he transits back to base. If he's not, then we're going to add another merge node way up here to invoke the same logic. So in terms of the logical flow there, he's going to go merge with that control logic and then head back to the site to work on the job site some more. So that gets us our kind of interior loop. It gets us basically 3 concentric loops there to keep him focused on his job depending on what he needs. The last piece of this is I just kind of clean up by clicking on the things and using the arrow keys, is to actually hook up that exceptional handler that tells the logic there that if the triggers happen with these particular activities that are hooked up to an exceptional handler, that whatever you're doing, stop what you're doing and then go take care of that. Jump to the transit recharge, jump to support the Wally, or jump to operate an emergency, and discontinue the other activities you're doing. I'll shift click on both of these and just tell Magitron to make the center horizontal so that they're straight. And then I just click on this and you can use the arrow keys to slide down little exception Z's so people can see them easily, and just be consistent, move that one down. Hope you've enjoyed this whirlwind tour. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks and happy modeling.